Rule number 62. Never wait this long to do another Zombieland movie. So Zombieland Double Tap tells the story of our four main characters still together, battling an evolved version of the undead as well as their own evolved interests. Well, we made it, people. Zombieland Double Tap is here. After a 10-year wait, we finally have a sequel to one of my favorite horror comedies. What the fuck took so long? Anyway, was the wait worth it? That is the question. Well, as I said in the intro, never wait this long to do another Zombieland movie because goddamn I love these characters and we need a third one. Like, next week, please. Get on it. So starting right off with the positives for Zombieland Double Tap, the first one is just having these characters back again. Having Jesse Eisenberg, Woody Harrelson, Emma Stone, and a much older Abigail Breslin back together again. That character dynamic is just on fire, like they never missed a beat. They jump right back into the shoes of these characters and they are just as fun as they were in the first film, which is a huge relief. You know, you have a big asterisk whenever you have a comedy sequel, especially when it's been long gestating like this one where you have a 10-year wait, where I'd say 9.5 times out of 10, they end up being a gigantic disappointment. I mean, honestly, I'm trying to think about a long-awaited comedy sequel that actually delivered to be as good or almost as good as the original. This might be the only one. Comment down below if I'm missing one. And don't say Dumb and Dumber 2. Or Zoolander 2.
Merry Christmas!
Do you know what I would like?
I don't give a fuck what you like.
Also firing on all cylinders, just like the original, is both the horror side of things and the comedy side of things. The practical effects are great. I like the fact that they have some kind of evolved undead, but they didn't go too ridiculous with it. It's not like they started taking things out of the Left 4 Dead game. But you have a little bit more extreme of a foe in this one here and there. And the gore, the bites, the guts, the heads exploding, all that, just as great as it was in the first film. Talking about the comedy is just about as strong as the first one. I'm not gonna say it's as funny as the first, because I don't think that it is, because it slips a little bit here and there, but for the most part, the comedy does work really well. Like I said, these characters, the character dynamic, the physical comedy, the quirks about these four characters, they work just about as well as they did in the first film. Huge relief.
New kind of zombies, stronger, faster, better adapted to the hunt.
They're much more afraid of us than we are of them.
You'll be the first to die, but I like your enthusiasm.
You might die.
Yeah, thank you for your sacrifice.
I also like the fact that they kind of kept the story simple yet again. I mean, Zombieland, the first one, wasn't really big story-wise. It wasn't really going for anything epic or interesting or really new or unique story-wise. It was more so about just having fun in a subgenre that we have spent a lot of time in, and really the four characters trying to hone in on them. And they carry that over into here. There's a little bit of story there with, you know, where these characters, their relationships, and just as individuals, they've matured 10 years since the first movie. How, you know, Abigail Breslin has grown from a little girl into, what, like 22 years old, so like in her early 20s, trying to figure out, what am I gonna do in this world? I only have my sister and these two guys who I'm definitely not hooking up with. Woody Harrelson kind of stepping into that more father figure role to a certain extent. Jesse Eisenberg and Emma Stone, how their relationship has kind of budded positively and negatively. A lot of those things is just like little subtle story things to get the plot going, to advance these characters, but they don't really go for anything huge to overshadow the fun that they're trying to have with Zombieland. So I actually kind of like the fact that they kept it simple.
Booze are for pussies, nothing personal.
How could that not be personal? That's like my whole thing.
Yeah, you're right, it was personal.
And I'm glad that they kept a lot of the style of the first film, like where they have the text that shows up with all of the rules of Jesse Eisenberg at the moments that they're actually utilizing those rules. Woody Harrelson, not necessarily trying to find a Twinkie this time, but his shtick in this one is that he has a badass car, or he wants a badass car, he's trying to find one, and he keeps getting reverted back to a minivan that he fucking hates, so it's kind of the same thing, but not as the Twinkie. And then Emma Stone and Abigail Breslin kind of had the same dynamic to where they're a little bit rebellious, and you have the fallout from that. So the fact that they kept the style and the approach of these four characters, and just the visual style of the movie, especially regarding the intro, That was a nice little touch there. I'm glad that Ruben Fleischer came back to direct this one. It wasn't anybody else, and they didn't abandon the small, subtle things that made the first one so fresh.
Casablanca.
Oh, God.
Well, I think I would have made a damn fine president.
I think those cigars were left over from the Clinton administration.
As far as mixed aspects, really the only one that I have is Abigail Breslin. Not that she's a bad actress or anything like that, it's just it felt like they didn't utilize her character enough in this. Part of the plot that gets the movie going forward is that she's matured, she's kind of outgrowing this group, so she takes off at one point, and they have to go and find her. Well, there's some interesting things that you could do with that. There's some interesting things you could do to grow her character, to give her a little bit more focus that she didn't necessarily have in the first movie, and she's kind of reverted to a background character, you know? It's more about the other three's journey to find her, more than it is her journey kind of stepping away from them. So when I was watching the movie, I was kind of wondering why they weren't doing more with her character, because I think it would have actually made this a little bit better as far as this group dynamic and as far as the story to kind of hone in on that a little bit more. And negatives, I really only have one, and it's not a strong negative. It could almost be in mixed aspects because there's some things that I enjoy about these characters, but you get a group of new characters introduced into this. There's like 4 or 5 of them, and every single one, just like our main 4, has a certain shtick about them, has a certain comedic thing that they're trying to do, or has a certain caricature that they're trying to bring to the screen. And they're all funny to a degree, to a certain extent, for a while. They're funny, they're entertaining, they're interesting, they're used well in the story, and they're used well to interact with our main characters, but every single one of them felt like the joke went on a bit too long. Every single one of them. Like, there's ones that were kind of annoying right away, and then they got really annoying as long as they kept doing their thing. And then there's some that were really fun for a while, and then as soon as the fun started to wear off, they went on for about 5 more minutes, and then the shtick stopped. So that kind of bugged me a bit in this. When you have these 4 main characters that all have like a caricature, they all have a shtick, but it never really feels like it gets spread thin, or it feels like it just goes on too long. It really stood out to me when you have these other characters introduced to this main group and their shtick starts to wear out very quickly.
Time to nut up or shut up. That saying's very 2009.
Actually, I do have one more negative that I just thought of. Despite the fact that in the opening credits, they paid the respect that they should to a specific band and to a stylistic choice of the first film, after the opening credits, where was the soundtrack in this movie? Because that was one of the best things about Zombieland. You got Van Halen and a bunch of other classic rock songs. You got one moment of Freebird in this movie that was kind of used to comedic effect, but beyond that, there was so many moments in this, especially in the 3rd act in a sequence regarding a monster truck, that there should have been a hard rock song in there, like there was in the first film where they knew where to utilize that. And it almost felt like the movie was missing something. Like, it's not just because I'm a hard rock guy, and it's not just because they did it in the first film, but there's sequences in this where you watch it and you literally think you could throw like a Van Halen song here, or a Godsmack song, or an AC/DC song especially in this sequence, and this sequence would be 10 times better with that little backdrop of that hard rock sound.
Need a ride?
Oh, yeah.
But they just have kind of, not necessarily generic, but standard score behind it, just things going on that don't really add to the scene. And especially since they didn't have that problem in the first movie, that really stood out to me in this one. But overall, guys, like I said, very big relief that Zombieland Double Tap is pretty much on level with the first one. It's not as good, it's not as fresh, and it's not as effective, especially in the comedy side of things, but it's pretty damn close. Like, as far as comedy sequels, this is far and away probably the best long-awaited one that I have seen. So if you enjoyed the first Zombieland, you want to see where these 4 characters are 10 years later and had the same type of fun that you had 10 years ago when the first one dropped, have no fear, because Zombieland Double Tap does deliver that. So check this thing out and then go out and buy it. What do you guys think of Zombieland Double Tap? Did this meet the mark as far as you were concerned? Was it as good as the first one? Was it a little bit shy? Did you like it better than the first one? Do you agree about the shtick of the new characters? Do you feel like that the original characters were as strong as this one as they were in the first film? Let me know all of your thoughts on Zombieland Double Tap down in the comment section below, and we will talk about it. Please like and share this video. hit that subscribe button if you are not already a subscriber. If you guys want to check out some social media links, please check the video description below for Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and my Patreon page, which is a great way to give back to this channel, help this channel grow, and get cool exclusive content for your eyes only if you decide to become a patron. Just below the video description is my Teespring store that has all of my merchandise designs created by Woody Bowen, a good friend of mine, and you have a lot of variety of things you can throw it on. There's t-shirts, there's stickers, there's socks, there's bags, all kinds of shit that you can throw these cool designs down. I have Autop Stream logo, which is very popular. I have the 31 on 31 designs that are very popular this month, so get those. Represent, waiting for this 31st, this Halloween, when we're gonna drop that mega ranking that we've been building up to. And if you want to check out some more of my reviews, including my review of the original Zombieland, you could check those out by clicking right over here.